It's an annual tradition for Mr. Coyne and I to go fly fishing. 2 weeks ago, we go to this fly fishing trip, and there's two rafts. He's on one raft with our buddy Dave, and I'm on this other raft with my buddy Nick, and we've got this guide who's there rowing for us and helping us fish. And the guide tells us, hey, look, wear a life vest, you know, there's going to be some rough water or whatever. And we said, yeah, don't worry about it, man. Like, we're fly fishing. How hard can that be? And he said, no, seriously, there's this class 3 rapid, and when we get to it, I'll just tell you so that you can put on the life vest. I said, okay, cool. So we're out there fishing. We're not an hour in, and all of a sudden I hear, oh, shoot, grab your life vest. I reach down, grab my vest, gets onto my elbow, and I look up, and there's just this rock with water just going gushing over it, and there's like this abyss, and as soon as I look up, wham, boat capsizes. I am underneath, pinned underneath, dive deep, way deep, getting tossed around in this water, and I'm underneath the raft, pinned under it. And I remember thinking, I've got this breath. That's all I've got, and you will die if you don't get out from under this. I'm scrambling to get out from under this raft. I make it out, and I feel this hand on my shoulder, and I'm wondering, oh my gosh, I hope that's not Nick or the guide trying to pin me down, trying to get themselves up. And it wasn't. Fortunately, it was Nick pulling me up. He's on top of the raft that's upside down. He had climbed on it and is holding on to me. We're hauling down the river now. He's holding on to me. I've got these waders on and I'm filled with water, and I'm getting dragged along. My feet are hitting rocks along the way, and he loses grip of me. And so I regrip him. So now we are still hauling down this river. We hit a rock. We try to stop momentarily. Nick tries to pull me up, but I'm heavy, right? I've got all this water, and I'm pretty heavy anyways. So he's trying to pull me up, can't. We still keep hauling down the river. Finally, we hit another rock. I come to the back, and I wiggle around the back, and I pop right up onto the raft. We're both on hands and knees on the raft, two of us, trying to catch our breath, right? The water was freezing. It was snowing and hailing before this even happened. So we're just gasping for breath, and we hear Mr. Coyne go, get left, get left. Right ahead of us is another set of rapids. It's not over yet. So I see Nick kind of shake his head like this, and I said, Nick, we gotta go. We jump off to the water on the left side, and we're holding on to this raft. It's going down the river, and we are just grinding. You know, like in sports, when you're running and digging deep as hard as you can, we're trying to get this raft over, trying to get our lives over to the left side. We finally get to the bank. Mr. Coyne comes over like a savior and drops the anchor on the boat so it can finally just hang out there. And we think, oh, we're probably good. It is dumping rain, and Nick says, we got to take off our clothes. That's kind of weird to do in front of your boys. But we did. And I remember I saw this Man vs. Wild episode, and Bear Grylls said, if you ever get hypothermic, start doing push-ups. So I take off my clothes and I start doing push-ups, and I'm pretty sure I saw you looking at me, Mr. Coyne. So I'm doing push-ups over there, trying to get some blood in my body, and we put on one layer of dry clothes that we had in this bag. We put back on the wet waders, and Mr. Coyne says, do you want to switch boats? And I said, nah, we got this. We go back in, but this time I was telling the guide where he was going. It's 5 hours on this cold river where we're shivering. I'm literally doing like ballistic squats. I'm doing jumping jacks, just trying to get blood in my body. 5 hours in this raft in cold until we finally get to stop. We stop in this little area. Mr. Coyne hops out. I don't know whether he hitchhiked. I don't even know how he got to the car. He somehow got himself to the cars, brought the cars back, and that's when we got warm. So the lesson there was, you got to survive. You've got to survive before you thrive. You've got to have that instinct. And that's a lot like my own life story, like maybe your life story. You see, when I grew up, I didn't grow up fishing. Fishing is very new. I grew up in inner city LA. I grew up in a motel. My family of 4, from the age of before I was 1 till 16, we lived in a motel. My mom took care of the rooms and the bathrooms. My dad collected the rent. And every Monday, I remember the landlord used to come in this bright, shiny, red and yellow Corvette and collect the rent checks. And he was a slumlord. He got punished by the courts one time because it was so bad there to live there for 30 days. Imagine his punishment was to live my life for 30 days. So I never forgot that. When I was in your shoes in 8th grade, that summer, something happened and I changed my life. I realized and I started to get really interested in music, and I decided I was going to become a DJ. I had no money, no records, because then I couldn't download the tunes. I had nothing, but I was like, I'll figure out a way to spin. And so I started to DJ. I wasn't even legally allowed in the nightclubs where I was DJing. 10 years later, I was spinning at clubs in LA, Chicago, and Boston, headlining. I was working so hard. In the course of my life, that is the story every single time. It was survive before I could thrive. When I decided to take a job on campus at my school, I got a scholarship and they said, you've got to work here. I took this job and this kid comes to me one day and he says, hey man, I'm quitting school, I'm a graduate student. My job pays $1 more an hour than yours, you should take it. And I said, what does it do? And he said, well, it's doing web design. And I was like, man, I don't know how to do that. He said, well, if you figure it out by Monday, and this was a Friday, I'll recommend you. So that weekend, I went and studied how to code. And Monday morning, I came and I was like, I could do this. And they gave me the job. 6 months later, my web design company was born. And a year later, I sold it. I've done this over and over. And so what I want to tell you is that in order to actually succeed, and realize that the first word of succeed is suck. It's going to suck at first in order to succeed. Okay? But be the kind of person that can handle it, because you never know when it could change your life, and just maybe it'll save it one day.